Hello there, fellow humans, and welcome to the final ever subscriber replays. And today I'm going to take you on a half hour of pretty good battles with pretty depressing commentary. But that's what I'm known for. Let's have some fun. And I've also got some great news for you, because while this may be the last ever subscriber replays, this is not the last time that you can send me replays, because we still got to hold a little funeral for World of Tanks Blitz once it goes away. And for that, I've decided, send me your best replays onto the Discord server. Link to that is in the description down there. Put your best replays in the replays channel and I will go through them, and the best replay out of all of those that I have been sent will win a Steam gift card, so you can buy yourself a better game. Speaking of better, the WT Retro, which is a slightly better version of the regular 12.8cm Waffenträger that you can get in a clan event. And that is the first tank we're gonna have in this video by Arrow404. Now, repeat it with me. If you're in a paper tank, the important thing that you need to do is to get out of the enemy's line of fire and only fire at the enemy and only peek the enemy when the enemy isn't looking at you, so you can cause damage without being damaged. And here's another thing that we're gonna do for the last one. You've probably seen a couple of these subscriber replays, I hope, and over the last couple of years, I've pretty much always said the same things, because eventually you can condense World of Tanks Blitz down to a few core tenets that, if you follow them, will make you much better than everybody else. Like, peek quicker than everybody else, learn to peek faster and aim faster, learn to position your vehicle in a way where you only fight one enemy at the same time, right? So you don't have like 3 people shooting it at the same time, and also only engage an enemy if you can, if that enemy is not looking at you, and only fight from the advantage, right? If you're have more hit points, if you have more DPM, if you have the faster vehicle, you can circle a tank first. Always fight from the advantage. And if you get yourself into a situation, then you should know how to get out of that situation before you even go in. Otherwise, you won't come out again. All of those kind of standard phrases that I've been blabbering off onto the internet over the last couple of years. I want to know what your favorite is, if you remember any, and put them down into the comments, because I would really want to read all the random shit I've said over the years that you remember. So put that down in the comments, and maybe some of those pointless phrases did help you get a better player at Blitz, and that's kind of what I hoped for with these, right? I mean, I'm not really contributing much. You're seeing a great replay here by Error, but I think that if I've taught one person how to play Blitz, then I guess I've achieved my mission. And hey, I've never sent explicit material to underage people, so I did a great job being a World of Tanks Blitz YouTuber. I didn't do anything criminal. I didn't sell my soul to war gambling, because as of whenever I'm not a CC anymore. I mean, I told them that I don't want to be a CC anymore. When they throw me out of the program, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm done now. But basically, I want to know, what is the things that I have said that you remember the most? Put them down in the comments. Really love to hear that. And again, we have a WT Retro right here that is being played quite well. From the back line, not being shot at, preserving the hit points till the end, because here's another standard canned phrase. If you see your team dying very quickly, then you should preserve your hit points so that at the end of the game, you can trade favorably. For example, with that 1-2-1 right there, he has a lot less hit points. You can use your hit points to your advantage and trade favorably to stay alive. And also, here's another standard canned phrase that's going to come out in a very quick succession. If you are in a VK72 and you're charging a convoy and you have another person behind you, then you probably shouldn't do that, and you should probably only engage targets from one side. Never have tanks on multiple sides, right? Only have a tank in front of you. If you have a tank in front of you and a tank behind you, that's what you're doing wrong. Don't do that. And now we get to another canned standard phrase. Prioritize. Take out the easiest target first, which is the one-shot convoy right there, and then take out the most dangerous target, which is gonna be the tank that's charging you, the tank that can chase you, the tank that has the highest alpha damage, like that 183. But in this case, the 116 is the most dangerous tank because he's charging. Nice tracking shot right there. Also, tracking the enemy always helps, and especially if you can track the enemy up in the air where they can't use their gun depression. Oh, here's another standard phrase for you. A tank with more gun depression is good because you can play more areas of the map successfully. So you want to use your gun depression to the maximum. And right now, I'm gonna have another standard phrase in a couple of seconds for you, and this is gonna be exciting. I'm not gonna spoiler it though, but aim your shots. The 183 misses completely, and now it is a 2 versus 1. But that low rolled quite badly, but the 116 F3 just jumps over, misses his first shot, and again use the 116 as a piece of cover against the 183. Perfectly done right there. And now here's another standard can phrase: be quicker than the enemy. How about that? It worked out perfectly for Error right there. Why shouldn't it work out for you? Ain't that lovely? In the WT Retro, nice Kolobanov's medal right there. 4,800 damage. Not the highest amount of damage, but a 1v3 nonetheless. Very well done right there. Now, I gotta say, I've always been a fan of more mobile vehicles. And, I mean, if you watched my streams, if you watched my videos, you know that I don't like tank destroyers. However, there are a few exceptions to that. So, 4005 is not an exception to that, because while it does have a turret, it does have some decent mobility if you activate the speed boost. This thing is a complete pain because the turret has no armor whatsoever. It does have 3,200 DPM and a 2-shot pulse reloader with 650 alpha damage, but it is still a very clunky vehicle to play. And I'm not a fan of the clunk. I've always liked tanks like an E50M, like a Leopard, like an STB-1, like a Chieftain. How they ruined my boy, the Chieftain. I still will never... I think that's actually the main reason I quit World of Tanks Blitz, because they ruined the Chieftain. Right, because they turned it into a Hesh. I can't really call it a monster, a deformed elephant's foot of a tank that is slowly rotting away in the basement of wargaming, and that will never return to its former glory. Or something like that. I don't know. I don't make movie trailers. Now, the deal for real right here has a very nice atmosphere. Now, one thing that Reforged is going to have is they're not going to be separated servers. I believe this is the NA server right here, and I think NA server, I don't know, if you're on the NA server, I don't know if you can confirm this or not, but I think NA server players are a lot more extreme than EU server players. Like, either they're completely sitting in the back doing absolutely nothing, getting themselves destroyed like this, or they're just YOLOing you. So there's a lot more of a, there's a lot more extreme gameplay happening on the NA server, where I've played on it as well. You have a lot more... Oh, look, the VK-45 has just got shot twice from this exact spot by a 4005. Is he going to move out of the line of sight? Is he going to move away? Oh no, he's going to stand right in the same way and take it right up the poo hole. I don't think I've ever said that word in a video, so here's the first. So, right now, we have a KVZ-70 that's being slightly destroyed down. But is that Kranvagner Type 71? What are they going to do? Are they going to drive out into the 4005's firing spot there? Probably not. Now at this point, the VK is... I don't play Blitz anymore, I don't know what tanks are. But the KPZ is kind of confused and kind of mad, but here comes the E4 and the perfect technique being used right here. He's not looking at you. Just shoot him in the side. Now, unfortunately, he turns around quite quickly because the entry-clip reload of this thing is pretty long. But attack enemies when they're busy. When a teammate is fighting that enemy, go 2-on-1, right? 2-on-1 is always better than a 1-on-1. If you can help your teammates, or if you have to use your teammates because they don't know what they're doing. Very unfortunate shot there into the optics of the Kranvagner, because here's the thing about World Tanks Blitz, and this has been funny for the last 12 years, right? 300mm of armor, no problem at all for a massive tank shell. However, a tiny piece of glass, right? In some Soviet tanks, a polished piece of metal because their quality was shoddy, but a tiny piece of glass is able to stop a shell more effectively than 300mm of armor. That was always funny to me. And it's a great quirk of Blitz that is really annoying if it happens to you when you're the guy shooting. And now, 3 versus 3 in the shit barn. Well, it is not quite a shit house, it is a hen house, but I would have respected Wargaming a lot more if they actually made it like a, you know, a portable toilet instead of this. Right, they should have just made it a portable toilet skin, because... But Wargaming's not funny. I mean, sometimes they can be, but I don't know, maybe there's gonna be toilet crates at some point. Who knows? I'll trust Wargaming to do the wrong thing always, as they've always done, and that's another canned phrase that bears repeating one more time. That's 7,005 damage, with a Type 71 that drives out right in the open. Wargaming are the masters of having good ideas and executing them in the worst way possible. However, the deal for real isn't Wargaming. He has executed this battle to absolute perfection and has nailed 8,185 damage into the enemy, who stood no chance whatsoever, and I don't know, who were definitely asleep at the wheel, just standing out there in the open doing basically nothing. Here's another canned phrase: if you stand out in the open, you die, basically. So it's like, if you imagine you're a Russian soldier in the middle of a field and there's 50 drones coming at you. Don't do that. So here we have a Lancer C, which is another pretty papery vehicle, really, but it is a medium tank now. And now we get into the kind of tanks that I'm more a fan of. But this thing is kind of an expert's vehicle. It's like the M4A1 kind of vehicle. You need to know what you're doing to extract the performance out of it, but if you know what you're doing, you can extract that performance out of it quite well. Now that Progetto over there, does he know what he's doing? Let's have a look. Is he gonna react? Is he gonna remove himself from the line of fire of the Lancer? Or is he just gonna continue to stare up that hill? Is he gonna do that? Who knows? However, we have a TVP VTU down there that is in need of attention, and the SP1C and the team is already deceased. How do you lose that many hit points in 1 minute? I don't know, just drive out in the enemy, I guess. Now here comes the Progetto. He's seen an opportunity right here, because there is tank destroyer. That's the WZ-121 GFT, I think, looking at the icon, and that is up there, which is a pretty hefty tank that you don't really want to fight in 1v1 like that. And the Progetto, Mr. Bob, well, he's bobbing straight to hell because he's dead. Now, don't push like that. Also, maybe pay attention to your surroundings as well, like that TVP VTU should right there. And now, we're gonna see something very funny. That AC right there, he didn't work together with the Progetto. No. He waited for the Progetto to go, to die, and now he's in a 1v2 against the Lancer and the WZ, because that's how you do it, right? You let your team die, and then you charge in, and you get another 2v1 that you then lose. That's the great kind of gameplay that you want to see in World Tanks Blitz. That's never going to go away right there. But Sotonka does make the AC go away. But now, the enemy team is down 5. But so is Sotonka's team right here. And now to 4. And there's an IS-5 right there. Or an IS-6. That is right there. Aim your shots, people. Aim your shots. Now something somehow bounced off the Lancer C, which it shouldn't do, and it does it again, which it shouldn't do. But the VTU is now gone. 2 shots blocked right there, 2,700 damage done, 3 kills already. Nobody else has a kill on this team. However, that 121 has another one. 3 versus 4. Who's the priority target right here? You can tell me it's dead, because the M7 Yor is now gone. However, so is the Bizonte. And now this is gonna get tricky, because it's the only 2 tanks that have actually done something on this team against 3 tanks on the enemy team. Now the WZ-120 does turn quite quickly. However, it's still a tank destroyer that doesn't have a traversable turret, so it's still not going to be able to keep up, especially on soft terrain like sand. Let's see, if this was a road and it could turn a bit quicker, but in this case, it can't outsmart the Lancer. And obviously pushing a medium tank with a tank destroyer was never gonna be a smart idea. But it's gonna get more fun, trust me. 4 kills, not enough, because now it's a 1v2. And the Caliban is close over there. It's a pretty annoying tank right there that you really don't want to deal with. But IS-3 comes first. What do you want to do in this situation? Get some, here's another canned phrase, get some distance between you and the enemy, because the map, the distance is an extra level of armor that you can use, because while the enemy comes at you, you can reload, you can reposition, you can go away entirely. So use the distance to the enemy to your advantage, because I have no idea how that shot hit. But if you're very close to the enemy, then you can't really escape much without them following you. However, if you have the distance, if you have the opportunity, the ability to make a lot of choices, then that is a pretty big advantage for you. Now, unfortunately, that shot doesn't go through, and you would think, how the hell would you possibly win this battle now? 300 hit points, missed again on the Caliban. Where's the IS-3? Why is the IS-3 not pushing together with the Caliban? I don't know. Maybe he's not that smart at playing this game. Maybe he's not that smart as you, because if you were in that IS-3, you probably would have pushed forward. But Stonky does another thing. He peeks very quickly. The Caliban doesn't have time to react. And now, where is the IS-3? What is he doing? Well, we don't know. Like that AC earlier, he's not playing together with his team. And oh my, Stonky drives out in the open, and the IS-3 just completely whiffs that shot into the middle of nowhere. And now Stonky tries to go forward here, which is not the greatest idea to do, but he whiffs again. Right? Here's another cannon phrase. Obviously, if you have the ability to get cover between you and the enemy, that is also a quite big advantage, because you can peek around it, you can reload behind cover, and then he can peek out, and he can destroy. The IS-3 that has thrown away 3 opportunities to win that battle for him. However, in the end, Stonky did it 6 kills with an ace in the Lansen Sea, which isn't that great of a tank, but if you know what you're doing, if you're a medium to advanced player, this is a tank that can be quite useful if Wargaming does sell it for acceptable prices. Now, we did something a bit unusual. This is the Lorraine. I don't even know if they sold this thing in the shop yet, but either way. Tier 9 French heavy tank. Pretty solid DPM, pretty solid frontal armor, but it's pretty big. And big is not always good. It might be good in certain areas, but in this case, it's a pretty big drawback, because there are certain pieces of cover that you can't hide behind. You're gonna get spotted easier because you're larger, and you're a bigger target for less accurate guns on the enemy team. Now, we have 2 heavy tanks charging forward here against 3 on this side. Now, I would personally advise against going to this side of the map. However, since there are 2 enemies here that like to be destroyed, this could be a quite useful opportunity to already win the battle right here. Because here's another cannon phrase, get the advantage. Well, I already said that, but this time in a team context, right? If you're on the side, let's say one side is 4v3 and the other side is 3v4. Well, if you're in that 3v4, it makes a lot of sense to bail out and then join the 5v3 on the other side to get rid of that. Because that will result in your team getting 3 kills and the enemy team at a maximum getting 2. So always use the advantage, right? Don't go back and try to bail out a disadvantage. Go forward and use the advantage, right, that you already have. Now at this point, those 2 could have a pretty much of a better advantage if that Vipera would actually try to help them. But he's sitting back there. Now those 2 guys are pushing that VK100 and they're pretty much focus firing it, which is the correct thing to do right there. The Vipera is still sitting back there, and the VK100 takes out the notoriously not very well-armored IS-8, who should have not been the spearhead of that push. It should have been the E-75, because the E-75 front armor and side-scraping ability is quite a bit better than that of the IS-8. And now, the E-75 is completely surrounded on all sides, and while again, that might be what you want in certain not very child-friendly situations, this is not a good idea in general, really, if you're playing World of Tanks Blitz. Now, you can even take your time to take a pot shot at a T-54 if he doesn't go back behind cover, because this guy's going down, the IS-8 went down, the Vipera didn't help, and now this E-75 is surrounded by much better health. Lorraine, played by Kuko right here. Yes, I'm reading the name when I got the kill. This is a 30-minute video. I can't remember the names. I'm very sorry about that. So, now, 4v4. But 2 of the enemies are one-shots. 1,700 hit points still right here on this tank. That's plenty, right? you don't want to lose your hit points too early, you don't want to trade them away too early, but you also want to not use them at all. And if you never use your hit points and you just sit at the back and do nothing, that's probably even worse than going in and actually trading your hit points. Because if you do nothing, well, I mean, doing nothing is better than doing something bad, but it's still not great if you want to win the battle. Because if you do nothing, well, that's kind of being AFK. And I know that some players are AFK despite playing the game, but still, all you have to do is pay a little bit of attention and learn a little bit of the tricks, and then you're already gonna be average, and that's the point, right? I've always said, this is basically just the best of things I remember having said. So, this is a game, right? It's about having fun, right? And if it's not fun, if you're not getting the vibes that you want, then there's no point in playing it, right? Because it's just a game. You can just move on to a different game, or you can do something else that you enjoy doing. That's kind of the point of life, to enjoy it, because you only have one life, and why would you waste it on doing things that you don't have to do and don't want to do? I mean, if you have to do it and don't want to do it, you kind of have to do it, unless you can avoid it. However, if you don't want to do it and you don't have to do it, just don't do it. Now, I don't know why that enemy is blue there. I think there is no friendly fire enabled anymore, so I have no idea why he's blue in the team there, even though it's a light tank. So, I mean, I've had a couple of replays crash. I think one of these replays in this series also crashed because, you know, wargaming. But here, we have another funny little thing. The IC-152 is pushing forward. We now know that there is another tank that is in the cap circle that is not helping this IC-152. The IC-152 has a BL-10 that does all of the damage and has maximum penetration. However, if he doesn't hit, and if he's not properly supported by the rest of the team, then he's just gonna go down. And the T-54 again, he's not working together with his teammate here, or he's not even working together with the ICU-152, just waiting it out until the ICU is gone, and now he's gone too. And that means 4 kills and the enemy that is exactly where you think he is. Dead. Right there. 86 hit points. 5 kills. You couldn't have made it easier. Right there. Once again, the essence of this game is that people don't know how to team play, so it is in your best interest to use that to your advantage and to exploit that lack of team play. And if you're witnessing enemy team play, then it is probably best to relocate to another place on the map and then do another thing there where there is no team cohesion over there. Now, do we have a better replay? I don't know. I think there are a lot of great replays out there, and it was a pleasure showing them all to you, because sometimes in these replays you might see things that I don't even see. So for these couple of battles right here, if you see something interesting, and I think this is always the case, right? If you see something that I don't see, because that's always going to happen, put it down in the comments. Maybe someone else is going to get help from that, because here's the thing. There is a lot of assholes in the world. However, they only win if you allow them to be what they really are. If everybody else works together and shuts them up, then the world is going to be a much better place. So, have you seen anything interesting in these replays that I might have not spotted? Or is there anything that you want to talk about in these replays that is worth sharing? Put that down in the comments as well, of course, because that's how it's always been. And now, don't you just love that when you go down? Hey, I have another canned phrase. Use the high ground. Because if you're down low, you do have less potential energy, but that's a physics thing. So, if you're at the top of the hill, the enemy obviously has to drive up that hill, which makes them slower, so you have more time to react. You can also, if you have a vehicle with good gun depression, shoot down that hill and go hull down, use your turret armor if you have some, and then you have a pretty big advantage. But if you're down in the valley, you're pretty much screwed. And your only way really is to fight an uphill battle, literally. That is what the Real for Real right here has to do again, because I've already seen him in the 4005. But here is another autoloader. And who doesn't love just simply spotting 3 enemies and deciding, wait a minute, I'm alone, I don't have any teammates with me, I don't have anybody to support me, let me push in further. Again, you can't get out, you got no support, why would you go in? They're all on the bottom. Well, that's bad for them, right? Because high ground is beneficial in most cases. You can shoot down at the enemy, because a lot of the plates are angled upwards. So if you're higher than an enemy tank, you have a pretty decent chance of shooting down into their angled plates, which makes their angled armor less effective as well. So there aren't really that many downsides to being higher than your enemy. I mean, you can also be another form of high that might have upsides in terms of you're having a lot more fun, but it might have a negative effect on your performance. But who cares about that? Again, it's about having fun. It doesn't matter what your stats are. The only person that should care about your stats is you. And in that case, care about one metric. Are you better than average? If you are, congratulations. You've made it. Everything above that is a bonus. Are you worse than average? Well, you've got some work to do to get there, right? That is the only thing that has ever mattered. To me, at least. Right? Because it's still just a game, and sure, there are some obscure people out there that, I don't know, misuse Discord for things, but that think that attaching your personal value to your statistics makes sense, and it kind of doesn't. Now, at least attaching some personal value to your statistics is better than attaching your personal value to things you haven't done anything for, like the country you were born or whatever, but it's still a kind of a dumb thing. Because, here's the thing. It's still a damn game. And if you're proud of yourself, that's amazing. You should be. But other people don't care about your stats and shouldn't care about them because they should care about their own. Most of the time they don't. But here we are. In this case, 1v1. Exactly 1,200 hit points. Well, it's kind of the 57 heaviest cup, so let's gamble. 50-50 chance to get rid of that 183 without a high roll. Well, how's the stats looking there? Not too bad, because 50% in some cases is all you need, right? Here's the thing. If you play Wolfang's Blitz for stats, bad idea. Wargaming doesn't know how to do tournaments. They've proven that over the last 12 years. That's not going to change. So if you're in Wolfang's Blitz to be the most competitive you can be, sure, that's a great goal. But perhaps it's not the best kind of game to be super competitive in because there's no reward for it. Essentially, the tournament system is dead. It will be even deader when Reforged comes out. Trust me on that. And it's not the greatest game to be overly competitive in. But should you not learn if you could? Hell no. Of course you should. Because if you can learn to get better, you should get better. That's the whole point, right? If you can do something, do it. Prove that you can, and then don't do it again and do something else that is more interesting, right? Because if you always do the same thing, that's also quite boring, right? Now, I mean, GG for leaving the 183 to get another shot of damage, I guess. I could have avoided that, but in the end, it didn't really matter. The ammo rack chance is very low, and hold on. Can you see that? Oops, that's my desktop. Well, and I think that's a perfect way to sign off, because it was never you. You were amazing. It was always Wargaming that crashed the party. So with that said, thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay hydrated, stay safe out there. Goodbye.